Welcome to Meaningful Interviews with Rabbi Chaim Dalfin, your host. I have today a very, very special person, Marc Asnin, who's the co-author of the book that just came out, The Oracle, Portraits of the Rebbe. And this is part two of our interview with Marc. We did one the other day. We have already over 800 hits, tremendous interest with many comments. And there's still some unfinished business, Marc, that I'd like to talk to you about, ask you about, and and you'll share your thoughts. So,
excellent.
Thank you. So, tell me a little bit about this Redux Pictures, the publisher of the book. Go ahead.
Right. So, in a private conversation, I explained to you Redux Pictures is my agent, my photo agent, and they also have an imprint. So they've done other photo books. I think we discussed this in our last thing. Redux Pictures had no editorial decision in nothing. We came based on my professional relationship to them for over 30 years, and I asked them to publish it under their imprint. No decision, would never let them have a decision. That's just the facts.
Okay.
So but one other thing, I just want to be clear for some of you viewers, they may not know this, but there's the famous expression, the buck stops here, by Harry Truman. Where the buck stops is at me and at Dovid Zaklikowski.
Okay. Thank you for that, for making that clear.
Okay.
Next question I have is, who paid for the book?
Dovid raised money.
Okay. I believe I saw in the last 2 to 4 weeks amongst the publicity some names of shluchim, Chabad rabbis, and others who maybe they weren't shluchim. I saw amongst the donors, Chabad people. I saw it somewhere. I don't remember where. If I'm correct,
I do. Right. I just have one question. I'll answer that specifically. Did you ever see the book?
Not in hard copy.
How did you see the book? In a PDF?
No, I didn't see it. I saw it announced.
You just saw excerpts.
Yeah, excerpts.
What people shared with you.
Yeah, I'm out of town, but yeah. Anyway, let me get to my question. I'll tell you where I'm going with it in a moment.
Okay.
So, if I'm correct that Chabad donors supported the book, do you not feel that they were dubbed?
No. Because ultimately, I wasn't part of that process, but I can tell you, now I wasn't in those conversations, so that I don't know. But based on everything that Dovid and I discussed over the 10 years, it didn't take 10 years to produce the book. It took 10 years for whatever reason to get this all done. But based on everything I've done with Dovid, that's no one, this I can tell you, I don't know the conversations, but no one would have had the right, no matter how much money they gave, to have a decision in the content of the book. That's for sure.
Right.
Okay. I don't know the conversations, but the reason I asked you if you saw the book is because in the book it says who were the people who gave money.
Okay.
There's no secret here.
Right.
So that's in public domain.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Do you think that if they included Chabadniks, Chabad Chasidism, rabbis or not rabbis, shluchim or not shluchim,
part of the community, whoever they are?
Yeah. Do you believe that they knew that Alan Nadler's article will appear in the book?
You should add that. The reason I asked you if you bought the book, stole the book, had a book lent to you, and I'm obviously being somewhat, trying to little my shtick here. However, if you go to the book and those people are public, you know how to get their names and numbers, you can ask them.
Right, but I'm asking you, Mark, what you think.
Do I think they would have given the money if they knew Alan Nadler was in the book?
Yes.
I don't know. You have to ask them. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know enough about those people. I'd be lying to you.
Right. Fair. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Now, but I can tell you and be firm about it, none of those people ever had, when I was consistent with you, that no one in Chabad or in the Chabad hierarchy should have the ability to edit our book. That goes for donors. That's consistent.
Right.
And even if someone showed up with $1 million, and you may not believe me or your viewers, also, I want to be publicly on record today. I make no money from this project. I got a speaker's fee to be in Florida. I got $1,000 to speak there, and it was a great honor. And I got money to speak in Brooklyn Chabad. Okay? I have not, you could give me a lie detector test. I don't make any money from the book. Dovid makes money. I'm not, but I make no money. For me, coming on your show is about principle.
Right.
Not about money. Okay.
And it's very magnanimous of you.
No, it's not. It's not. I wanted to do something with Dovid. I'm not doing this because I want to be righteous. This book wouldn't have been published if everyone has to get paid. I earn a living in a different way. I'm happy to do this as a journalist and also as a Jew because I respect what the Rebbe did in supporting the Jewish diaspora. That's why I did it. I'm not a good guy. I'm not on a line getting ahead to heaven. And I also just want to be clear. I'm very proud to be Jewish, Rabbi. I'm not really sure if Hashem really exists in the world. It's not how I live my life. So I don't want to be thought of doing this for the righteous reason. I did it because I think the Rebbe is a interesting historical figure. And I wanted to be part of that history as a journalist. Because I believe 300 years from now, when people look back, they'll see the Rebbe doing something that wasn't really ever done historically.
Okay.
But I'm not a righteous guy. I'm just another idiot in the world. Okay.
Self-degradation is not acceptable either.
Okay. I'm a good guy, but I'm not.
I got it.
Okay.
And I think and the viewers and the listeners got it as well. Trust me.
Okay.
Let's go on. So going back to what you said yesterday, and just to follow up now with another question.
Sure.
You said in your mind, this is not and never was a tribute for the Rebbe. Is that correct?
Right. The process of doing the book was never a conscious process of doing a tribute.
Okay.
I'm a journalist. But I do think that people, if they're able to read the book, wherever they are in the bigger world, if they take it as a tribute, I think that's a beautiful thing. But I don't make tributes. Okay. And Dovid is also, we agree, was not a tribute. We do think people should take a positive. I'm not trying to make controversy, which people think. Someone asked me off the record if I'm doing this to make money and controversy. That's not what this is about. It's not. Okay. Right. If people read the book and read 49 out of 50 of those essays, I think they're going to come away thinking this guy was a pretty cool guy, or however you want to articulate it.
Right.
Okay.
So my question, let me get to my question. I hear you, and you said it yesterday, and it's clear. We know your position, Mark. Your position was very clear.
Okay.
I have a few questions still. So the question is, did you know about when you when you and Dovid agreed to put in this article about Nadler, did you know what it said? Truth. Did you
Yeah,
read it? You knew it, you
yeah,
saw it. And when you
yeah.
read and when you read it, what did you say?
Listen, I don't agree with it. When I met Alan Nadler, when I did the portrait at the hotel in New York, I won't say for security reasons because I don't know if he stays there often. But when I met him, I was impressed with his intellect. He's very articulate. He's an educated man. I told him I didn't agree with his take on it. Just 1 second, sorry. I didn't agree with his take. I read the article. I don't agree with it. I think Alan and I come from very different places. He was born into a modern Orthodox family. I wasn't. We come from very different places about the Rebbe. But obviously, I've read the article. I do, after this controversy, I do think some points Alan Nadler made from an intellectual point of view, I agree with more now. I don't agree with him from an emotional point of view as a Jew. As a journalist, I don't need to agree with him. I don't.
Okay.
I don't agree emotionally, but I
Okay.
do agree that he should. I read the article. I told you yesterday I never knew who Alan Nadler was. And I told you yesterday there was one specific other person, not Jewish, a New York figure that could have been very controversial that I wanted to put in the book. Ultimately, that didn't work out. I also thought that subject, who I don't like, who I don't respect, but had in an abstract way something to do with the Rebbe, I thought he would have been self-serving. That's ultimately why we didn't put him in the book. I don't think Alan Nadler's self-serving. I think he doesn't like Chabad. He didn't have a connection to the Rebbe. And his big issue, which again is beyond my pay grade, is the Rebbe's interference into Israeli politics.
Okay.
I don't really care about that.
Right. I
It's
got it.
right. Okay.
My
Okay.
question
Yeah.
is what when you're putting together a book, obviously the people you choose, you have an objective. In other words, what was your objective when you chose Nadler's article?
Okay. So
What,
when we
what were you
okay.
thinking?
Okay. So when I'm giving you in context, I don't like Newt Gingrich. Now, I think it is a problem. I respect you. You've always been straight with me. I find it not so good that you didn't have the book. I don't, because you didn't read it in context. Okay, but you didn't. I'm also not going to hold back. You didn't read the book in context. In context, you don't know me. I'm a very liberal Jew. I don't like Newt Gingrich. I think he's really detrimental to America. I don't respect him. I don't agree with him. Now, during the interview, I think he was incredibly articulate. I do. He's a historian. And I'll say he does connect to the Rebbe on a very deep level from a religious perspective. Okay. He's in the book because I respect differences of opinion. Okay. I respect that he and, may he rest in peace, Congressman Lewis, who was part of the civil rights movement, both came together with Bill Clinton, who was the president, and gave the Rebbe the Congressional Gold Medal. I think he deserved it. I put Newt Gingrich in because he's a voice. And why I'm not harshing on this, there are many Jewish politicians who were liberal who would not agree to be in this book because they're worried about their liberal constituents who don't like Chabad. I don't respect that. Okay? I don't respect that. I'm not going to put their names out, but prominent Jewish, no. Not for this book was no one asked who was a Jewish elected official, who said no, but a very famous U.S. senator who's not Jewish, who has deep connections to Chabad, just blew us off. I don't respect that. I don't, even though they're from my side of the aisle. There are also people in the book that, and this is the truth, I don't know the name, and I'm not sure if the person wants to be named, but there's someone who knows Dovid, who's a Lubavitcher, who said, yeah, they have problems with Alan Nadler. I have problems with one of the subject who's an open Mashiach person. Okay.
Well, you said that yesterday.
Right. So that person's in the book. I don't think the Rebbe's Mashiach, not based on my Talmud and my learning of the Torah. Major people in Chabad over the years, major rabbis have told me this is not true. I'm not saying they're right, but in there are many people with different opinions. So Alan Nadler is one of those people. I think he has the right. I also think a point is, if you read the book and you get to Alan Nadler and you say, I don't like him, I don't like his tone of voice, I don't like how I think he's disrespectful to the Rebbe, move on. 49 people were glorious about the Rebbe. Also, may he rest in peace, and I don't really care if this upsets people, Joe Lieberman in the interview, he was interviewed by Dovid, then we went and interviewed him again when I photographed him. May he rest in peace, and he was a liberal guy to moderate. He was so afraid of saying anything about the Rebbe, negative. Those liberal Jews didn't believe, they believed in the separation of church and state. Joe Lieberman believed in a woman's right to choose, but petrified of saying anything that could be worried about the largest Jewish organization in the world. That I don't respect either. May he rest in peace. Other people walk the tightrope.
Right. Okay.
That I don't like. Okay.
I understand. I hear you loud and clear, and I respect what you're saying.
Okay.
Now, one of the main points that people are commenting and relating to me is, and I don't think you have an answer for it, but I'll ask you anyway, okay?
Yep.
And that is, Chaim Dalfin, Rabbi Dalfin, you shouldn't be in, you could, interviewing Marc Asnin is wonderful and it's great. He's clear, he's honest. Good interview. Excellent interview.
I know the question. Go ahead.
But the question, why aren't you interviewing Dovid Zaklikowski? And Mark, let me finish, and then you have to turn.
Okay.
And my answer is the truth. He doesn't want to come on. He doesn't respond. And I'm asking you, why doesn't he come on? Or he doesn't want to come to Chaim Dalfin? No problem. Let him come out to the public. Let him write a letter. He owes. Okay.
Okay.
It's my opinion. It's my opinion, Mark. He owes the Chabad world a statement.
Okay. So I don't believe he owes. Okay. So with that argument, I don't personally agree he owes anything to your community, even though he's part of your community. You may want him to speak, and I hear you loud and clear. That's your right, and I'm not shocked by that. So I have a few things about that, okay?
Someone said you disagreed that he, forget about owes, it's too harsh of a word.
Okay. What's that?
Mark, wouldn't it be the right thing, the proper thing, for him to explain himself, being that he's being attacked much more than you? And I know you said yesterday you don't agree with that, and we're past that. We have to go on. But the perception of the people is that Zaklikowski, Dovid Zaklikowski, could have. This is their perception.
Or should,
right? Or should have, could or should have not put that in. And since he and you put it in, he should explain himself. Not Marc Asnin explaining himself, but him. And I'm asking you, why isn't he doing that?
Okay, so I have multiple answers. So in that conversation, it was decided I would be the person to discuss this in this forum, okay? I have no problem with you saying, why isn't he here? You have the right, and why people in the community. That's fine. Ultimately, those private conversations between Dovid and I, and why I'm here, those are private. I'm
Right.
not asking you the names of that person. But let's, for argument's sake, say, why isn't Dovid here? And just 1 second, my phone dropped, sorry. And why isn't Dovid, maybe, if I understood you correctly, writing a letter to the community, like an open
Right.
letter?
Right.
Okay.
An op-ed.
Okay, an op-ed. So with that said, and I'm not, just follow me, I'm not avoiding it. I'm saying that's fine. Maybe he writes an op-ed. Okay. I would like to know, with the same concept, those people feel Dovid disrespected the Rebbe by including Alan Nadler. Fine. And they want him to own it. And you're not happy he's not here today. I'm here to represent us both. But that said, about responsibility, I would like to know, and Rabbi, you're not someone I'm holding to this. You're just not just the rabbi, you're in the community, and you're not in an official position, as we discussed yesterday. I would like to know why the power structure at Chabad, who's been notified of this, they know that people who are officially connected on shluchis have called for the burning of the book, and they've doubled down since our conversation. The rabbi in Beijing has said he stands by it. So there's no sense of, well, I was upset, I was emotional. He's doubled down on it, okay? The rabbi in Alaska, who has threatened our lives, when I called him, he told me to call his lawyer. Okay, which is his right. I would like to know why the power structure has not asked for them to say no Jew should burn a book. Now, it's not against the law, or no Jew, which is against the law, to threaten someone's life to burn them. Where is that outcry? Now, Dovid may have disrespected the Rebbe from your perspective. I understand that. Or my perspective. Your community is not as concerned about me. I think that's hypocritical based on the Rebbe said we were all Jews. But I'm not studying the Talmud. I'm not from, it's already boring how many times I say that. But Dovid didn't threaten anyone's life. And for all your viewers, Dovid and I will not take lightly our lives or anyone associated with the book to be burned. 75 years ago, millions of Jews were burned. You don't like to hear it. I'm not comparing this to the Holocaust, but I'm not going to lie to you. That is sickening and absurd. And I'm very upset. I am so upset that no one in Chabad has the chutzpah to call out for those shluchim to put in the public domain that no one should bring violence to anyone in this country, but specifically to another Jew. So if you, not meaning you, and I respect you and you've always been straight with me, but if you're asking because the community wants Dovid to write something, then I'm calling for the power structure, and we all know who they are, and I've been in touch with them, two of them who are part of the power structure. Let's see what happens. Will the power structure condemn that publicly? And will those two rabbis who are official spokespeople, will they come back and say that was wrong? Now, let's see that. Now, I'm not saying that Dovid or me shouldn't have to write an op-ed. I'm not saying one covers the other. Okay, but Dovid has not, and Alan Nadler, for the people who have not read the book, has not called for violence against anyone in the community. And from what I know, he's never has. So those are on different levels.
Okay.
And believe me, I am deeply worried for Dovid's family.
Okay.
I am. I'm not worried about me. I am worried that some unhealthy person will hurt Dovid's family. And then what are you going to come to me and say, oh, we'll say a bracha? Sorry, that's not going to cut it.
Mark, I hear you loud. I heard you loud and clear. And all of the listeners and viewers will hear this loud and clear.
Okay.
And I agree with you that the leadership needs to make a public statement that burning of books, violence, threats of violence is outrageous, not accepted, and it isn't Chabad, it isn't Torah, it isn't Jewish.
Right. And I appreciate and deeply respect that you have given the forum to say that. And I'm not just telling it to you to make you happy.
I know that.
And you know what? If you had stayed silent and didn't do the thing that's being a mensch, we know silence is as bad as the people making the threats. Because specifically in our own lives, it's the silence that lets the violence happen.
Right. But I'm going to say something. It might upset you, but it's not.
Say whatever you like.
No. I'm not convinced.
Yes.
I know one of the two. I know him from different talks that he's given publicly. It's online,
Okay.
And I know where he was trained,
Okay.
As an old time Chabadnik, born and raised and studied with the greatest minds of Chabad, and I know the inside, all the players. I know them from the inside, and in fact, I know them before these two guys know them. These guys are not Johnny-come-latelys, and I don't care that they're rabbis and shluchim. God bless them. But I go way back before that, and I know all the people in leadership. These are my father's friends, and I don't want to go into it because it's not the time. And one of these two fellows that you're very upset about, a protest has to be made by leadership that what he said is wrong and outrageous and not acceptable, and he should retract his words. But
yes,
I don't believe he means it. It's rhetoric.
Okay.
It's wait.
Right.
It's
rhetoric. Okay.
It's rhetoric.
And my response to rhetoric is it may be rhetoric, but rhetoric in the wrong hands creates violence.
Yes,
and
that is always
you may
possible.
not have right, and you don't, and I don't care if you. We know historically, I cried that day when Yitzhak Rabin was murdered. You may not agree with his political views, but when another Jew...
But murder is not acceptable. It's wrong.
And there was rhetoric in that society. In America, when there's rhetoric, churches have burned. Jews died in Pittsburgh in the Tree of Life because of anti-Semitic rhetoric. So every day, every minute that the leadership of Chabad, and these ultimately even more important, these two rabbis, every second that is wasted, that rhetoric, some person who may have mental health issues in Crown Heights or somewhere else may say this is a calling from Hashem, That is radical thinking. You don't have to go to sleep at night, and other people in the community don't need now to go to sleep at night worrying about their children. No Chabad rabbi should have put that fear into Dovid or me. And you know what? I'm not afraid of anyone in a Chabad. I'm not. I will stand up for what is right. In this situation, no one is going to threaten us. It's against the law. It's immoral. And you know what? Now, no one or many people who are the most outspoken, not meaning you, because you've given me more than a forum to discuss our point of view, Dovid and I. Those people have not read the book. Okay? That we know that is a fact. Okay? Read the book. Don't like the book, but you don't have the right to threaten people's lives. After you read the book, then come back with a more educated thing. And you know what? I don't really care if you steal the book, you borrow the book. It's not about the money. But if you want to make an educated, and I understand people are like, I'm not going to buy the book. Why would I go borrow a book?
And on that note, Marc, how was it? You said you and Dovid stood outside on Kingston Avenue selling a book?
That's right.
How did that go? Tell me about that.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I had notified the 71st Precinct Community Affairs, and the cops that were on duty that night knew. I went up and introduced myself, and the police officers, who I respect on the greatest level, providing security for everyone in America, and specifically for your freedom of expression as we celebrated that night. They said, we hope there's a peaceful night. It was incredibly peaceful. And you know what? We sold many, many books, and I'm having on Sunday breakfast with someone, a young person in the community who wants to hear my stories about the Rebbe. There were a few people who disagreed with us. It was all fine and all good. Okay. And there was one gentleman who came up and said, I heard all the controversy, black hat, Lubavitch. He said, but there's the First Amendment. And I said, you know what? You get a special discount because you understand that. And ultimately, when he came back, he was a Baal Shuva, someone close to my age. I think it's dangerous. Now, I don't know why this exists. I have my opinions, but I'm not giving them because I'm not a scholar, and I don't want to get on another topic. But I think it's dangerous that people underestimate. You may be Lubavitch, you may be you do live in America, though. And in America, it's not by accident that the founding fathers said the First Amendment is freedom of speech. That also is your freedom of religion. And I was very moved. Okay, and one thing, because we're talking about faith, right? And how we live our lives.
But I have to ask a question.
Okay, 1 second. Dovid, I'll do. There was a woman, Lubavitcher woman, talking to her kid, and she wasn't watching her stroller, and the stroller was rolling down the street. And I started yelling, lady, your kid. And Dovid got up. Kingston Avenue's on a decline. She got the kid and thanked us. Dovid said, now everyone, I don't live my life this way, but I respect what Dovid said to me. He said he thought this was meant to be, that it was meant to be that we were on the street, not that we saved the kid's life, but who knows? She wasn't paying attention.
Right.
I don't agree with Dovid. I don't think it was Hashem. I don't believe this was divine intervention, why I'm here with you today. But I respect Dovid, his approach to life. And I hope other people can read this book and say, you know what? I don't agree with Alan Nadler. I think it's vicious. But also, where is the idea that, you know what? I feel bad for Alan Nadler that he's full of such anger. And I'm not telling you this. There's some of this that's within me. I feel bad for both of those rabbis because I feel bad that they're full of such anger. And I think they didn't get the message of the Rebbe.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. Do you, because we only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
Do you think Dovid will be ostracized from the Chabad community? That's one question. Number two, do you believe that his writing for Chabad.org and Lubavitch archives, which he heads, and other Chabad work that he does, do you believe it will be impacted in a negative way because of this?
Okay. First, from what I know, Dovid never writes for Chabad.org. Okay. He writes for many Jewish publications, but from what I know, he never writes for Chabad.org. He worked for the Chabad.org for Zalman Shmona.
Okay. So that's what I meant. He worked for Chabad.
Right. Okay. Right. I don't know. I'm not in the community. I'd be lying to you. I don't know.
Okay. The answer is clear. You don't know. Next.
Right. But I would say that's what this argument's about. I think it's also different, Rabbi, if you work for a publication and you publish your own book. I think there are different responsibilities. So in my existence, when I worked for a magazine and I gave them, when I gave the Rebbe all those images to the New York Times, I had no say in what pictures were published.
Right.
So if Dovid's working for a Jewish publication, I would hope, and maybe pray. I don't know what I'm praying to. I'm praying as a Jew. Okay, I am. And I couldn't be prouder to be a Jew. The only more important thing in my life is being a father. Now, that may upset some of your viewers, and I don't really care. But I would say as a Jew, I would hope Dovid is not ostracized. I would hope, because I would think for me, then if he is ostracized, I'm one of 15 million Jews in the world. I would have a negative view of the bigger community. That doesn't mean I have a negative view of the Rebbe, but if that happens, let's put this on record. I think then we need to explore about the community, not the Rebbe, because from what I know, that was not the Rebbe. He never turned his back on any Jew. And we know, factually, many Jewish publications and many Jews who came to visit the Rebbe, he disagreed with. What I respect about the Rebbe, he didn't capitulate to those. He stuck by his, I think, Hasidic values or his Jewish values, but he would have never called for Dovid to be ostracized. And you know what? I didn't like my father-in-law. I didn't respect him. I didn't like him. I think he was full of hate. But one thing that I learned from him is that he told my wife growing up, you get more with honey than vinegar.